Hey guys, I'm Anna, and I'm gonna share my SAT journey with you guys today because I feel like it'll be helpful for anyone studying for it still. For those of you who aren't here from Reddit, I got a 1600 on the September 23rd SAT I took, and a lot of people DM'd me when I offered tips, so I figured making a series of videos would be the most efficient way to get all my tips out there for people. This is going to be more about my specific practice strategies, what I did to study, and some test day tips, but my other videos will cover specific reading, writing, math, and essay tips. Okay, let's start from the beginning. I first learned what the SAT was around 6th grade, I think, because my dad tried to hype me up for it by getting me these 2 thick practice books and some flashcards. At this point, I was still in my literally reading the dictionary for fun phase, so I was excited about the vocab flashcards, but I never really used the books. And the format changed, so all of those resources became pretty obsolete, so there's that. In 7th or 8th grade, I downloaded College Board's daily SAT practice app, and every day when I would wait awkwardly for my friend to meet me at the bus stop, I would do the little daily question. I'm not sure if this app is still a thing, but I had it for so long that it cycled through the question database multiple times, and it was a fun way to more casually introduce myself to the format early on without being too insane about it. Anyway, I forgot about the SATs until my 9th grade PSAT when the school gave out this little practice booklet, so I just did the practice test in that, but they gave me the wrong one, so I actually did the PSAT 10 practice test. I ended up getting a 1420 on it, and I was really happy with that. Rinse and repeat for the PSAT 10, except I didn't take the practice test in the booklet that year, and I got a 1440. I was maybe a little disappointed that I didn't improve a whole bunch, but I also didn't put in any work, so it was to be expected. After that, I got a lot more motivated to improve, so I started using Khan Academy's free SAT practice, and I would highly recommend this for anyone who needs help with the fundamental concepts or wants to get to know the format of the test better. With Khan Academy alone, someone in the 800 to 1300 score range could potentially improve by hundreds of points if they're motivated enough. That being said, after about 300 questions, I did notice questions within my struggle areas repeating themselves, and I had felt like I personally kind of exhausted the resource. Around this time, I read Prep Scholar's How I Got a 1600 article, and that actually got me really excited to study because it was an inspiring story, and I just really liked it for some reason. After reading a few more Prep Scholar articles, peppered with little advertisements for their online prep course, I finally caved and asked my parents for it around AP season so I could procrastinate studying for my AP tests by studying for the SAT. Sadly, my dad made me wait until June, probably for the better, but of course I still found other ways to procrastinate. I found Prep Scholar to be really helpful in that their practice questions were almost identical to what you would see on practice tests, and I ended up studying a total of about 50 hours using Prep Scholar. The one drawback is it cost about $400 a year, I think, and I know not everyone has the financial means to afford that. So I want to say right now, it definitely isn't necessary at all to purchase any books, tutoring, prep programs, or anything like that if you're self-motivated to seek out the resources you need on your own, which I assume most of you are since you're watching this. But I did find Prep Scholar was pretty useful in getting from a mid-1400 to a mid-1500. The most important resource I used was the free practice tests from College Board. I took 6 of these before my first round of real SAT tests and the NIM squat, and they were incredibly helpful. Now, every time I took one of these tests or was doing Prep Scholar practice questions, I would record every single mistake I made and even some of the answers I was unsure about in this notebook and later on in this spreadsheet. I also color-coded the different kinds of mistakes and why I made them. For math, if it was a dumb mistake, I marked it blue, and if it was a concept I wasn't quite clear on, I marked it in one of 2 shades of red. For the reading and writing, I racked my brain and read the explanations or answer keys and then tried to figure out how I would avoid making that mistake again. This was literally the most important thing I did in my studying, and if you're not doing this, then you're not utilizing these resources to their full potential. Sometimes it's brutal to do this, and it seems easier just to write it off as a weird question on College Board's part, but I promise you in the long run, it'll help you see patterns in the mistakes you're making, and you'll thank yourself for it. So finally, after all of this, it was time for my tests. I took the October 2019 one and got a 1530, which really took a lot of pressure off because I was excited about that score. I had run out of time on the reading section though, and I misbubbled a question in the frickin' writing section about its versus its. Oh my god. So I still felt like I could potentially improve, so I signed up for the November one too. Okay, fun story time with this one. I'm 90% sure the person in front of me peed their pants because there was an overwhelming smell of urine like 5 minutes into the reading section, and they kind of ran out of the room really quickly in panic. I felt really bad for them, but yeah, I don't blame them at all because the SATs are really stressful and it'd be like that sometimes. I'm not sure exactly what was going on there, but no matter what it was, I was a little disgusted and a lot distracted, so I ended up doing a lot worse on the reading that time. I got a 1500 overall, but I actually improved on the math, so my super score between the two was a 1540, which was a complete win in my book. I decided to take a break until the free one my school was going to give in April, thinking it would just be like a non-stressful last effort at improving, but we all know what happened before then. I was all but ready to submit my 1540 to colleges when my school announced in September that they would be proctoring the free SATs that were supposed to be in April in the next few months. I signed up, but I knew I wasn't a high priority student since I had already had plenty of opportunities. But a whopping 3 days before my test date, I got a notification that I would be taking it that Wednesday. So in a somewhat panicked state, I spent the next 3 days taking as many of the new practice tests as I could without going insane. I wore a mask while taking them at my own dining room table, which probably seemed crazy to my family, but there's this psych effect where if you study something in the conditions you'll be in on test day, you have a better shot at recalling what you've learned. I quickly figured out from my practice test that I had forgotten all the little tricks the SAT likes to throw at you in the reading and writing sections, but I was consistently doing better in math. I made it my goal just to get an 800 on math, so I started taking just the math sections of the tests, and the night before, at 11 p.m., I scored an 800 on 2 of them and flipped out. I also noticed that my brain was feeling a little less fried after taking the practice test. Like, before I would have to put aside a whole day to rest up afterwards, and I would slog through the readings, but everything was just coming a little bit easier. I can only imagine that this is from taking a really rigorous junior year course load. I took 6 APs, including BC Calc, and AP Lit, and those really helped me with my problem-solving skills and reading comprehension. I also had helped my friend with Algebra 2 over the summer, shout out to you if you're watching this, and that actually helped me with the skills that I hadn't had to use in a couple of years, which was also really important. I went into the test the next day feeling really confident and relaxed since I knew that no matter what happened, I already had a score I was happy with. I also got blessed with the best testing environment ever. There were only 8 other students in my room since we all had to socially distance, and I had 3 of my friends in my room, and that really helped me calm down beforehand. Like, there's something really awkward and stressful about driving 40 minutes away and then waiting alone outside the test room where everyone else seems to know each other and you're just standing there. It's just really and say what you will, but I think it helped me psychologically, which is half the battle. And you know the little spiel they always give, like, okay, keep your calculator flat on your desk, don't look at anyone else, and don't let them look at you at all costs. Like, I feel like half my brain power always just goes to, like, am I cheating? Is somebody else cheating off of me? Like, what's going on? So not having that to worry about really helped me focus on the actual test a lot more. I felt really confident coming out of it, but I figured I probably made a mistake on the reading or something like that. When I saw that I got a 1600, I honestly thought there was a mistake. It felt surreal, and I couldn't believe that I did better after a year of minimal studying than when I was actually putting in the grind. I'm telling you all this lengthy tale because there's some wisdom to be taken out of this. First of all, please note, it's fun to get a 1600 and all, but it's not essential for college apps at all. And anything from a 1550 up looks basically the same. So please don't stress about getting a perfect score, especially now because it's a pandemic and a lot of colleges aren't even considering scores anyway for the next few years. Okay, first piece of wisdom. Yeah, I worked hard to get here, but maybe in a slightly unconventional way. I didn't have any private one-on-one tutoring. I didn't spend an hour every day since 3rd grade preparing for this. And yeah, I had Prep Scholar, but I'm not even sure that was completely necessary or where the bulk of my improvement came from. The real key is to be your own motivator. It's the one thing no one else can do for you. You have to be harsh on yourself, but also understanding as you're going through all these practice tests and studying. Take the most rigorous classes available to you. Start finding joy in reading books you don't quite understand, and try to see the math in the everyday world around you. Hot take here, but the SAT is kind of a stupid test. It measures wealth, privilege, and your knowledge of the SAT far better than it measures your ability to do something impactful and meaningful with your life. If you're close to your goal SAT score already, don't dedicate your whole life to it. Spend your time having fun learning, and you'll start to see that transfer over to the SAT. There's something to be said for learning the format of the test and learning the basic math and grammar skills you need for it, because you'll start to notice patterns in the similar question types, but keep this to College Board's real practice tests or resources that do their best job at matching those question formats, and don't let it overwhelm your life. Second piece of wisdom, testing environments are everything. My score went up 100 points between the crappy testing environment and my ideal one. This just goes to show if you're aiming for a 1600, there's a lot of luck involved. No matter what score you're aiming for, I recommend taking it a couple of times, because even small differences can translate into vastly better or worse scores. Also, that cushion of already having an acceptable score really helps to calm any test day nerves. Although I know this might be kind of a difficult year to do that, with lots of tests getting canceled. And even though I'm not eligible for testing accommodations, I highly encourage anyone who is to apply for them, because that might make a monumental difference in your score, even if you might not think it matters. The most important thing on test day is getting into the right headspace. Remind yourself that even though those around you may be nervous, you have no reason to be. You've prepared hard for this, and whatever the end result is won't dictate your life. You'll have other chances, and plus colleges are moving away from standardized testing anyway. So relax, bring some snacks and water, and have some fun with it. You never know what might happen. Thank you so much for watching this, and I really hope it was helpful or reassuring in some way. If this wasn't quite what you were looking for, I have separate videos on each individual section, which gives actual specific strategies, and maybe in the future I'll make videos where I go over whole practice tests and explain how I would go about each question. I've linked all the resources I talk about in the description if you want to go check them out, but know that there are infinite paths to getting a 1600, and what worked for me might not necessarily work best for you. See you all soon! Bye!